There is a person in your life who has a problem, not the kind of problem that announces itself as one, not the kind that creates visible disruption or that they would describe to anyone as a problem if you ask them directly. The kind that lives quietly in the specific reaction of a person whose composure does something involuntary the moment a particular thing enters their field of vision. The kind that has no solution because the person experiencing it has no interest in solving it. The kind that they have privately, completely, with zero ambiguity, accepted as simply the permanent condition of being someone who has seen you. The problem is you, the sight of you specifically. What happens to this person the second you come into view is something they have stopped trying to manage and started simply living with as a feature of their existence. The way you look, the way you carry yourself, the specific quality of your presence before you have said a word or done anything except simply be there. That quality does something to them that bypasses every rational layer and lands directly in the place that operates beneath reason, the place that knows things before the mind catches up, the place that said, the very first time it encountered the sight of you, something irrevocable and completely certain, game over, not as a defeat, as an arrival, as the specific internal recognition of someone who has found the thing they did not know they were looking for and understands in the instant of finding it that the search is finished, that this is it, that whatever comes next, whatever the complications or the timing or the circumstances, the thing that just happened in them when they saw you is the truest thing that has happened to them in a long time, and they are not going to be the same on the other side of it. Drop the word favorite in the comments right now and subscribe to this channel if you are not already here, because what I am seeing in these cards, the specific, involuntary, complete and irreversible effect you have on this person every single time they see you is one of the most beautiful things I have encountered in a reading in recent memory. And you deserve to know exactly what you do to them in full, without the softening that you would probably apply to this information if you were telling it to yourself. Let me start with the sight of you, because that is where this begins, not with the knowing of you or the history with you or the depth of everything that has accumulated between you over time, with the literal, physical, completely immediate experience of seeing you. And I want to describe what that experience is like for this person because it has a specific quality that I think you will recognize as something more than ordinary attraction. When you come into their view, something in them stops, not dramatically, not in a way that is visible to anyone around them, because this person maintains their composure with more skill than almost anyone you know. But internally, in the private space beneath the composure, something that was in motion pauses, something that was scattered gathers, something that operates normally in the low-level noise of a busy life suddenly goes very, very quiet in the specific way of a thing that has found its center. You are their center of gravity. That is the most accurate description I can find for what happens in them when they see you. Everything else, every other thing in their field of awareness, every other concern and distraction and thread of thought that was running before you appeared, organizes itself around the fact of your presence. Not because they make it do that, because it does it on its own, because you have become, without their permission and without your trying, the thing their attention defaults to when you are available to default to. And what they feel in that moment of seeing you in the second before any interaction has happened, when you are simply there and they are simply looking is a combination of things that happen so quickly and so simultaneously that they could not separate them out if they tried. There is warmth, an immediate involuntary warmth that arrives before any thought. There is something closer to relief than you might expect. The particular exhale of someone who has been somewhere difficult and has just come into somewhere easier. There is wanting, simple, specific, not going to be argued with, wanting, and underneath all of it, quieter than the rest, but more permanent, there is the recognition. The same recognition that was there the very first time. The knowing of the thing they know. You, this person, this view, this is the one that matters. I want to describe what happens to them in the minutes following the seeing. Because the first second is the ignition, but what comes after it tells the more interesting story. They become more present. That is the first thing that happens. Whatever level of presence they were bringing to the moment before you appeared, whatever portion of themselves was actually in the room versus distracted or somewhere else internally, that presence deepens the moment you are in their vicinity. They are suddenly, completely, fully there, in their body, in the moment, aware of everything, in a way they are not always aware of everything. The particular heightened quality of attention that a person brings to something they find genuinely extraordinary applied to the very ordinary situation of being in the same space as you. They become more careful, not in a self-conscious, am I being watched way, in the specific way of someone who has become aware that they are in the presence of something that deserves care. More thoughtful about what they say, more deliberate about how they listen, more conscious of the quality of attention they are giving you because something in them understands, without being told, that the quality of attention you receive from people matters to you, that you notice whether someone is actually present with you or performing presence, and they want more than they want most things in any given moment to be actually present. They also become more themselves, and this one is the most significant and the most worth sitting with, because most people, in the presence of someone they find extraordinarily appealing, become slightly less themselves, more managed, more conscious of impression, more careful about revealing the things that might be unappealing or complicated or too much. This person does the opposite. Something about the sight of you and the particular safety of your presence and the specific quality of how you receive people makes the performance fall away rather than rise up. They are more genuine around you than around almost anyone, more willing to say the actual thing, more comfortable in their own skin, more fully the person they are when no one is watching than the person they usually present to the world. You make them real, and they love you for it without knowing how to say so yet. Now I want to tell you something specific about what it means to be someone's favorite view, because the phrase has a romantic quality that is obvious and worth acknowledging. Yes, they find you beautiful. Yes, the sight of you does things to them that beauty does to people, but what I am seeing in these cards goes beyond the physical, and I want to make sure that dimension is named clearly because it is the more important one. You are their favorite view, not just because of how you look, because of what they see when they look at you. The specific, accumulated, irreplaceable totality of everything you are that becomes visible to someone who has been paying the quality of attention this person has been paying. A view is what you see, and what you see when you look at you, what this person encounters every time you come into their field of vision, is not just a person who is physically beautiful, though you are. It is a person who is real, whose outside and inside correspond to each other in a way that is rarer than people acknowledge, whose face in a given moment tells the actual truth of what is happening in them rather than a managed version of it, whose presence has a quality, a specific, personal, unmistakably individual quality that is not replicable in anyone else. That irreplicability is what makes you their favorite, not that you are the most conventionally attractive person they have encountered, or the most impressive, or the most anything that can be measured on a general scale, that you are the most specifically you, that there is no substitute for the particular thing that happens in them when they see you, because the particular thing is a response to something that only exists in you, to the combination, to the totality, to the complete and specific individual reality of Virgo standing in a room being exactly herself. No one else produces this in them. They have checked, not deliberately, in the automatic, unavoidable way that the mind checks by comparison. Every other face they encounter is encountered in a world that now has yours in it as the reference point. And the comparison is not close, it is not even interesting, because what you are to them is not a category of appealing person. You are a specific person, and specific cannot be approximated. Let me speak to something that is happening in them right now that goes beyond the seeing, because the seeing is where it started and it remains the most immediately powerful part of their experience of you. The sight of you still does what it did the first time, still has the quality of game over no matter how many times it has happened. But what exists in them now is larger than what a person can carry in their eyes alone. They have fallen past the seeing, past the wanting, past the sustained and deepening appreciation for who you are that has been developing through every interaction and every accumulated detail of knowing you. They have arrived at the place that is beyond all of that. The place where all of the separate feelings have coalesced into something singular and undivided and complete. The place that a person recognizes when they arrive at it, because it has a different quality from everything that led to it. A settled quality. A this is what this is and it is, not going anywhere quality. They are in love with you. And the love has the specific character that comes from having been built on the foundation of the seeing, of having started with the profound, immediate, involuntary response of a person encountering their favorite view, and then deepened through every subsequent experience of you into something that now has roots, something that cannot be removed cleanly or redirected or managed out of existence. Something that is simply there in them, as real and as present as anything in their life. What they are doing with that love right now is carrying it with more difficulty than they expected, because this was supposed to be manageable. The seeing was always something they could file under attraction and give appropriate weight without it disrupting everything. But it did not stay there. It grew. And what it grew into is not manageable in the way that attraction can sometimes be managed. It wants expression. It wants direction. It wants to be something that exists between you rather than only within them. The pressure of that, wanting the internal pressure of a large and growing love that has been carried privately for long enough, is building toward a moment of release, toward the moment where the love stops being something they contain and becomes something they communicate. And that moment is closer than any moment before it has been. I want to talk about what you do not see, because you are the subject of all of this. And the subject is famously the last to know the full extent of what is being felt about them. And what you are not seeing, what has been happening in this person around you without your full awareness, is worth describing, because it will change how you experience the interactions you have already had. You have not seen the moments before you arrive, the specific quality of their anticipation when they know they are going to see you, the particular way their energy shifts in the minutes or hours before you appear, a subtle brightening, a slight straightening, the involuntary preparation of a person who is about to encounter their favorite thing and whose body knows it before the moment has arrived. Those moments are real. They happen consistently, and the consistency tells you something about the depth of what this is. You have not seen the moments after you leave, what happens in them when you exit their field of vision. The particular quality of the space you leave behind, not emptiness exactly, because you have never fully left. You remain in them in the way of things that have genuinely landed, but a shift in the atmosphere, a slight cooling of whatever was warmer while you were there, a return to ordinary that confirms, by contrast, how extraordinary the not ordinary of your presence was. You have not seen the way they talk about you. In the rare moments when you come up in conversation with the very few people they are genuinely honest with, the specific quality that enters their voice, the particular combination of warmth and restraint. Warmth because the feeling is real, and restraint because the feeling is large, and not all of it belongs in conversation that gives them away to anyone paying the right kind of attention. The slight pause before they say your name, the care with which they choose what to say and what to keep. You have not seen any of this, but it has all been happening consistently for longer than the surface of your interactions would suggest. And knowing that it has been happening, receiving this reading as the information it is, as the full picture of what has been moving in someone's life around you while you lived yours, without this knowledge, should change something in how you understand where you stand. You are not uncertain territory to them. You are not a question they are still working out or a feeling they are still locating. You are the most certain thing in their romantic life, the thing they come back to every time, the view they cannot stop taking. Let me tell you what comes next. What the convergence of everything I have described, the seeing, the wanting, the falling, the private carrying, the building pressure is moving toward in the immediate future. They are going to show you. Not tell you in the first instance, show you in the specific way of someone who understands that certain things communicate more completely through action than through language. Through the quality of how they are with you the next time you are together. Through a shift in what they allow themselves to express, less management, more honesty, more willingness to let what they feel be visible in the small ways that feelings make themselves visible when a person stops working so hard to contain them. Through the particular intensity of how they look at you when they think you are not watching, through the things they say that are slightly more than what the occasion requires, through the care they bring that is slightly more specific than what the situation explains. Watch for these things. Not anxiously openly, with the receptive quality of someone who has been told to pay attention and is now willing to actually pay it, because the showing has probably already begun, has probably been building in small increments for a while now. And what you will find when you look with the knowledge this reading has given you is that the evidence has been there, that the favorite view effect has been making itself visible in the edges of every interaction you have had. that the game over quality of what they feel has been leaking through the composure in the small specific ways that real things always eventually leak through. And after the showing, when the showing has gone on long enough that the only honest next step is the saying will come. The direct, clear, I need you to know this kind of saying. The kind that puts the whole thing on the table without the careful management of impression that has kept it slightly submerged until now. That saying is coming. Everything in these cards is pointing to it with a specificity that I do not see when something is still theoretical or possible or on the horizon in the distant sense. This is close. This is already in motion. The only thing it is waiting for is the exact right moment, and this person's sense of when the exact right moment has arrived is when it comes to you, unerring. You are someone's favorite view, Virgo, someone's game over, someone's reference point against which everything else is measured and found lacking. Someone's involuntary warmth and immediate gathering and specific, irreplaceable, cannot be substituted most certain thing. Let that be true, not as vanity as information, as the accurate description of your effect on a person who is real and genuine and serious about what they feel and who has been feeling it with a consistency and a depth that neither of you has yet fully acknowledged out loud. You are not too much. You are not too specific. You are not the kind of rare that makes people admire from a distance rather than choose up close. You are the kind of rare that makes one specific person decide in the second of seeing you that everything else is beside the point, that the view from here is the only view that matters, that whatever it takes, whatever it requires, whatever conversation needs to happen or courage needs to be summoned, it is worth it. You are worth it. You have always been worth it. The person who sees you most clearly already knows that, and they are almost ready to make sure you know it too. Tell me in the comments, can you feel it when they look at you? That particular quality of being seen that is different from ordinary looking. Drop favorite if this reading landed somewhere that surprised you with its accuracy. Tell me if you have caught them watching when they thought you were not aware. Tell me if the specific quality of how they are with you has been shifting in ways you have noticed but not fully interpreted. Because what you have been noticing is not your imagination. It is them looking at their favorite view, trying to decide how much longer they can keep what they feel to themselves. The answer is not much longer. Be ready to be seen completely with everything, Virgo. I will see you in the next one.